Get locked and loaded.
Hear the voice of the youth, standing up for the truth. Hear it loud, hear it strong, and we not turn it down. Hear the voice of the youth, standing up for the truth.
Good night, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Locked and Loaded. This episode is titled Disconnected. If this is your first time, we are so happy to see you. I'm joined by Glenn and
Sharon. Hello.
And I'm Glenn. Yes, thank you very much.
yes. And if you are, as I was saying, if you're new, we're glad to have you. If you've been writing with us since episode 1, then shout outs to you. We know exactly who you are. And at this time, we want to encourage you guys to like the video, share the video, and don't forget to subscribe. So as usual, as is our trend now on the Locked and Loaded show, we tell you a bit about ourselves, give you a little insight into who we are. So Glenn, good night. Jalissa McCarthy, good night, everybody. Glenn, you want to take us there?
For sure, eager to. First of all, good night to everybody that's just locked on right now. We have a great discussion for y'all later, but I have learned quite a bit about my co-host here. Apparently, they like pineapples on pizza, and they just like almost the entire explanation team likes pineapple on pizza, and they can't get it understand. And I am the only person who does not like pineapple on pizza. So I was surprised to learn this. So I kind of feel alone tonight, being a co-host. To be honest, you guys in comments to let me know if you prefer pineapples with or without. Pizza with or without pineapples.
Yeah.
Guys, come
I
on,
think it fits.
you really disappointed me.
I feel like it's a good combination.
Yeah.
I don't know, Glenn, what's your bite? Why don't you like the pineapple?
No way, pineapples on pizza. These are
Trey. Wow.
whoa,
Thank
no,
you.
true, no,
Thank
no.
you, Trey.
Monisha is saying it does not belong on pizza. It just does not. We have
Wow, Donisha. I'm disappointed.
Ronnie. Come on, boy. Come on. I feel so betrayed. I feel so betrayed.
Okay, Glenn, yours.
Yes, on the show right now. Y'all will not hear from me a lot tonight. Wait, Paulana is saying the
All right, thank you.
first TV issue.
Yes,
No,
we need to lay hands because
but I
it's
think
a problem. I don't know.
just don't belong with me. You don't put fruit with me. Just let me put in an apple on ham and saying plantain. Okay, I think we need to continue with this discussion. Then we can get into let me get started on tonight. Plantain is no, Joshua. Okay,
Wow.
so tonight, you know how we do it. We have our featured video for the night. We have the one and only, I think, Philip K. Red Thoughts. We're going to be showing Red Thoughts music
Yeah.
video. Guys, stay tuned.
Yeah. As the darkness creeping, your mind going and your soul wandering. The lust creeping and your heart deep within. Soon you become a slave to sin. Next thing you know, your eyes they're wandering. Mentally undressing your sister. Spiritually fornicating. What kind of thing is this? Search me now, oh Lord. I don't wanna be a slave to sin, no, cleanse me now, oh Lord. Take this sinful desire away, take it away, take it away, take it away, Lord. Take it away now, take it away, take it away, take it away, Lord. Take it away now, now, now. Cause every time I speak I don't want the words to come out of my mouth and sound hypocritical. How can I tell the ladies dress modestly and on the internet searching for big booty girl? Cause one day I might have a daughter and I want to be a pure father. And look her in her eyes and tell her she was beautifully made by the Creator. So search me now, oh Lord. I don't wanna be a slave to sin, no, cleanse me now, oh Lord. Take this sinful desire away, take it away, take it away, take it away, Lord. Take it away, no, take it away, take it away, take it away, Lord. Take it away. Lord, I want my actions and my words to be acceptable in your sight. I don't wanna displease you anymore. Lord, I know that I got to live right. I got to live right. Lord, I really want to live right. I want to live right. I want to live right. Oh, search me now, oh Lord. I don't wanna be a slave to sin, no, cleanse me now, oh Lord. Take this sinful desire away, take it away, take it away, take it away, Lord. Take it away now, take it away, take it away, take it away, Lord. Take it away. Search me now, oh Lord. I don't wanna be a slave to sin, no, cleanse me now, oh Lord. Take this sinful desire away, take it away, take it away, take it away, Lord. Take it away, no, take it away, take it away, take it away, Lord. Take it away.
You are watching Locked and Loaded on Echo Nation.
Woo! That song, boy.
Yeah, that's a good song.
It is. And guys, just want to let you guys know Philip K is actually premiering a new song this Saturday on Chill Vibe. So you want to make sure you are tuned into that this weekend. We're going to tell you about that a little later on in the show. Yeah, but guys, how do you feel about that song? Like I just love it. As Romario was saying, it's all about confession and holiness. You have your
Right.
phone there and you're just seeing all these images wherever you have that temptation comes, but you really have to overcome that. But what do you guys think?
I really love the song. That's actually like one of my study songs. So like while I'm studying, that's playing in the background. But I love what it says. I remember the first time that a dear friend of mine introduced me to the song, and when she told me about it, I went and looked at it, and then I realized that the words are actually quite. They may not be applicable to my life right now, but the words are like true and they're honest, and I feel like it's definitely there to like help some people. So I
Yeah.
hope you guys were listening, and if not, you can check it out. Red Thoughts by Philip K. You can check it out again.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
personally love it, and the music video just brings home the whole message, with the
yeah,
imagery of snakes. Which, first of all, he is a brave man to have not one but two snakes in his and his face is calm through the whole thing, and I'm just like, props to you, Philip K. But
yeah,
I love the song itself. The message is a really strong one, and like Sharon said, it can be applied to a lot of person's lives. So it's an encouragement to me as well, and I know that it has definitely impacted a lot of people too. So big ups to him. All right, so we are just about at that part of the show where we go to some views from other young people. We would have asked the question, and we have a video to show you guys what feedback some young people across the island, what they had to say on the question. What are the risks of virtual intimacy in terms of relationship hurt or breakup? So stay tuned for What's the Vibe.
Hear the voice of the youth, standing up for the truth. Hear it loud, hear it strong, and we not turn it down. Hear the voice of the youth, standing up for the truth.
For me, what I would call the biggest risk or top tier would have to be the fact that the person that you will have shared this intimate picture, video, or text message with now has the ability to post it on social media, whether it be Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. And the power that social media now has is that when the person would have posted, even if they would have deleted it, there's a high possibility that someone else has it due to the fact that you can screenshot, screen record, whatever the case may be.
Answering the question, what risks come with virtual intimacy? On getting this question, there were not any answers that came to mind exactly. So I'm really interested in what other people have come up with and being educated in the matter.
When I think about virtual intimacy, I think about communication or relationships that are built around social media interaction. And the problem that can stem from this is that lack of face to face interaction where you will be able to see the whole picture. You can see body language, you can hear modulation in the voice, and you can hear the information that is coming at you in a complete and concise manner. However, when you're communicating via text only or voice messages only, then you can't see the person, you can't see their body language, and there's room for miscommunication.
So in dealing with online long-distance relationships, I believe there are two major risks that you should consider. The first one is community. If you have a large social media following, it's very easy for people to pry into your situation if you post something like a conflict or a breakup. That means there's going to be added stress to the situation with a lot of people messaging you at once. The second issue I want to talk about is disappearance. It's very easy to disappear from online nowadays by just pressing a block button. So if you go through a bad breakup and the person just blocks you, then you're left confused, you're left hurting, and you can't talk to them at all. So just consider these risks if you want to get into a long distance relationship.
Yeah, guys, remember to subscribe to the channel if you have not as yet, and turn on that notifications bell so you definitely do not miss anything that comes out of Echo Nation. Not only Locked and Loaded, but Echo Nation has a lot of awesome stuff going on, so make sure you press that bell. All right, what's the vibe, guys? What are we thinking about the responses that we got?
I thought those were some really good responses. I wrote down some of the things that people would have said. They touched a lot of different things. So like we would have had people talking about what we spoke about the last session we have in terms of like the fact that you can't really see people, you can't see facial expressions, you can't hear tones. Then you would have also heard Donisha talking about the fact that you send something to somebody and then you're not sure after if it's still there because they could have screenshot it, they could still have it, and Brian would have said if you got a large social media following and you put things up, people could pry into your business. So
Right.
a lot of different things.
Yep.
Yeah, what about you?
I definitely agree. There are a lot of risks out there, and they would have touched on a lot, from miscommunication to outing and that kind of stuff. There's so many risks involved when you are having relationships online. You really need to be aware, especially from a security standpoint, of what are some of the precautions that we should take. So I just want to thank everyone that sent in the video. We really appreciate your perspectives on everything. And guys, who are watching, just remember that you can always hit us up on Echo Nation Instagram page if you want to be a part of the What's the Vibe session segment. We will just send you the question, and you could partake in next week's video.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree. I think that the responses we got are really loaded because they do touch on different things. And one of those things talks about, well, one of the message mentions are ghosting, which is something that we're gonna, talk on lightly a bit later. But let me see. Romario says what Brian said about people being able to disappear on social media, hide behind it. Exactly. So it's deep and it's gonna get deeper as we get into the DM. But right now we have our weekly challenge. So I'll just tell you a bit about that. So the challenge for this week is for us to read through the Barbados Computer Misuse Act. And a little later, you're going to understand truly why this is so important. The fact is that we have to manage our conduct, things that we share and post and so on social media. And if you've been following the challenges along the week, you would have seen we've been kind of having a pattern there, talking about being safe and taking care of your security and stuff like that. Now, there are a lot of things that happen on social media, specifically with young people and sometimes what we share and so on, that, believe it or not, it's not the best things. There are ramifications for this. So we challenge you this week to look through the Barbados Computer Misuse Act on our Instagram page. We posted the link for you. Even if you don't read the whole thing, just make sure that you familiarize with it so that you can, make sure that you are safe and also encourage your friends to share safely as well. And now we go to the tip of the week. And this is a very interesting tip, so stay tuned for that.
You are watching Locked and Loaded on Echo Nation.
Okay,
Okay, so we experienced like challenge there, but these things happen, with technology. There's always room for error. We'll try to get that for you before the show ends, but even if we don't, it will be posted on our Instagram page tomorrow. So look out for that tip, that very important tip. So now let's get into the DM. I'm excited. Can you see the excitement on my face?
Yeah.
Wow. Our topic tonight is disconnected. And we want you to imagine for a moment before we get right into it. So imagine that you are in this relationship with this person that is online. You're texting. It doesn't have to be on a dating site. You could just be texting this person. Maybe they slid into your DMs on Instagram, for example. And, you guys get closer and, the relationship grows and what's not. So you're wondering, well, what's the next step? Some people feel like that next natural step is sexting. We're going to deal with that. But then what happens when you break up? So now to set the platform for sexting and everything else that we're going to get into, we would like to invite Gazi, who, as we know, is the founder of Echo Nation and has a lot of insight on these things. Welcome, Gazi.
Good night to everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and we're talking about a serious thing, sexting. We're hearing some comments coming in. Um, well, congrats to you guys looking sharp all the time from Paulana. I don't understand what is this demonic behavior about people saying that no pineapples on pizza. That's the
Yeah.
word and the spirit going
Come on,
together.
Gazi. Come on, Gazi.
All right, so we're here to deal with this thing on sexting and what sexting really is. So we're going to take a look at that definition. So sexting and what are the risks? So sexting is really, before we get into that, just getting back to what we were saying about digital citizenship. We want you to be safe. We want you to be positive. We want you to be confident online. And it's all about how you contact people, how you conduct yourself, and the content that you consume while you're online, right? That's all about digital citizenship. A quick reminder, when we look at the digital world, it actually impacts the real world. So sometimes your privacy and your safety, you have to take good care of your privacy and safety when going online. It's going to impact your character, your image. It's going to impact your relationships, which we are talking about tonight. It can impact your career and academic future and your reputation, even in terms of criminal records. And I think you're going to touch on that. So you are not anonymous online. So as we're talking about sexting and relationships, let's get a definition for what sexting really is. Sexting is the use of the internet or any mobile device for creating, sharing, sending, or posting sexually explicit messages or images, or that should be of yourself or others. Right? So whenever you use the internet or these devices to send sexually explicit messages or images, that is what is called sexting. And here are some facts and risks surrounding sexting. Sexting is becoming more common, and sending and receiving or distributing a naked or semi-naked photo is the most common form of sexting right now. I know people might hear talk about if you want to say penis pics and these type of things. Sending your private parts to your friends or your significant other or whatever. That is all part. That's the most common form of sexting right now. Sexting is illegal, especially when it involves a minor, someone under the age of 18, or you're trying to harass persons of any age. It is an illegal act from that standpoint. Young people can be charged if they create, receive, or transmit a sexualized image or video of a person under 18. So whether you did it or whether you received it and you sent it out, you can be charged for sending out that. And if you have sent a sexy image, they have no control where it might end up. So you might send a nice little sexy image to your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whoever. And when you send that out, you have no control over that. Where it goes, who sees it, none of that you have control of. And the last thing I would mention is that victims of sexting may experience some serious psychological harm and ongoing damage to their reputation. And I don't know if you guys know, there are several, for instance, there are several popular people who would have gotten involved in sexting, and because of these breakups, people would have sent out that information. So that is it on sexting, guys. My little take on it, definition on it, and I'm really looking forward and excited for what is going to happen tonight, the discussions that we will have tonight. Especially, we have some special guests, so I'm looking forward to hearing our special guests. So blessings, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gazi. Thank you
No
so much.
problem.
Thanks.
Okay. Whew. I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared, but let's do it anyway. So sexting. Oh boy, this is a really deep topic. But before we get further into it, we want to remind you guys that you can call in tonight. You did vote, and we're accommodating your vote. So you guys can call in tonight. There is a link that you can type into your browser or on your phone, It's a bit.ly link, bit.ly slash LockedxLoaded dash register. So you follow that link, you register, and we will contact you with the link to join the studio. Okay, somebody else want to take this one? I don't know. It's so boring.
Yeah, so basically, tonight, guys, we're gonna talk about sexting. We've just had a whole heap of information there from Gauzy. We would have seen why it could be morally wrong, and also why it is illegal. You know, first we want to establish whether or not this is a reality right here in our own region, right here in our own country. Um, we know it is because it's not something that is just reduced to a certain part of the world. Everybody experiences these feelings, and everybody is wants to be in a relationship, and it becomes so natural that when you get into start talking to a person and develop those emotional, start to get emotionally attached to this person, and then from there you're just on the phone, so it's like, what's next, um, and it's so easy, especially on the influences around us, that the next level is usually sexting when it comes to people who are engaging online in their relationships and that kind of stuff. And as we would have seen, it could be from sending sexually suggestive photos to complete nudes and explicit photos of your body parts. And
Right.
we would have touched on a lot of the risks. And I mean, there's so much risk. For example, you is as simple as you send an image to this person, you think that you could trust them, you think that you have that connection there, and then who is to say that's the person you're going to end up with? Who is to say that's going to be your husband in the future or your wife in the future? Like, regardless, it don't matter. Like, I would say try to refrain from doing it because anything could happen in that relationship. Not looking to be pessimistic or anything, but you got to take these things into consideration. So when you send that image to that person, they can go and do anything with that. You can trust them, but you don't even fully know this person, and this person can go and share that image, and from there, your reputation is on the line, and we just have to be very careful about that kind of thing. Sharon, what are your thoughts on all of that?
Well, yeah, I agree with everything that you would have been saying just now. Um, and I just going out. You said that it's not necessarily like just one like location or one country. Like we may hear these things, people doing these things overseas. We might hear movies about and stuff like that, but we may not be able to understand the actual impacts. Which is
Right.
why, like, I'm glad we have some guests coming to speak about those things. But I liked in Gauzy's presentation when he would have really given us reasons for why young people sext. So one reason that stuck with me is that uh, young people don't really see a problem with it because of the change in culture. So like whereas older people or maybe like more moral people may see an issue with it, there's some people that are like, huh? Is it really an issue? So that's definitely what we're gonna be touching on later.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree that we need to highlight some reasons why it's problematic and not just a thing that we choose not to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we were saying, we have some special guests tonight. We have Mr. Ambrose and Mrs. Maria Carter, who have been ministering together for as long as they have been married, which is 31 years this month. And that deserves some kind of celebration, first of all. And they formed the Ammar Empowerment Network at the start of their union to cater to various needs within our society. In the early 1990s, God spoke to Ambrose to form the Pure Sex Center, which some of us may have heard of, to specifically deal with sex, sexuality, and purity. The message of pure sex has been taken across the island, the Caribbean region, and the Americas to primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, workplaces, and churches. They believe the message God has given them is first to Christian youth as his blueprint and mandate for how to live their lives. So, Let's say goodnight to Ambrose and Maria Carter.
Hi, good night.
Good night to you.
Hi,
Good
good night.
night.
Thanks for having
Hi.
us.
How are you guys doing?
We're happy to have you. Yes. How are you guys doing?
We're very well, thank you.
Yeah.
What about you?
Great, thank you.
We're good.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I'm good too. So we have this one to start off. We have this one major question. We would have talked about what sexting is. We really want to know, is it a reality in Barbados? We may see it in American culture, TV shows, and what's not, but is this a problem that Barbadian youth are involved in? And do you see it in schools and churches?
You take that, Amber?
Well, yes, it is definitely part of our culture
No.
these days. The thing is that many people, many parents may not necessarily know about it, and a number of adults may not necessarily know about it. Certainly, a number of the teachers in the schools would have come face to face with it prior to this year, and even prior to last year. But it is becoming more and more problematic within our school system among our minors.
Yeah, and to answer Judah's question about in the churches as well, we have had a couple cases where we actually within church youth groups that we've actually known about and dealt with as well.
So it is definitely an issue here on the island. And I generally smile sometimes when I hear the question amongst the churches. Now, that could be a little bit misleading because it may not necessarily be happening in the church, but among church youth.
Exactly.
You with me? It may not be happening in the church per se,
Right.
but among church youth
And who attend church.
yes,
youth groups
from
and
time
stuff.
to time, Christian parents are very shocked when they learn that their Christian children, quote unquote, they are involved in these activities.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you guys for that. We have a question, a statement and question here from Trey. Trey is saying I understand the risk and I do agree, but maybe one could argue that it's the technological extension of the intimacy you would find in a romantic relationship. What is your guys' response to that? If you saw the question.
That sounds nice.
It's true.
That sounds very good.
Sugar-coated, yeah.
In fact, that sounds very romantic. It's a nice and romantic.
How he's put it.
It sounds like a very. The thing is though that let's look at the root cause of all these things, and I think Gazi would have mentioned some of those things. There is basically a search for love, a search for acceptance, a search for belonging, and a search to be involved, and sometimes it's even exploration. Let's take a child for argument's sake that is developing, and you see all of these little things keep out of the reach of children. And let's say something like matches, which is a good thing. But if this child gets a hold of it before the time and strike it and form and creates the fire, then it can burn down the building. And therefore, sex is something like that. And when you take it now to the extreme of something like sexting, you're even going into more dangerous territory. And we can even highlight some of these things as we go on. But why would you get involved in in sexting? It is primarily because you've not been educated to dangers fit of the whole sexual and romantic relationships, and how you can damage yourself and the benefits then of avoiding certain things, avoiding certain activities until later on in life. And in a big nutshell, that's what I would now. I am sure that more details will come up a little later.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So before we continue, is it possible for you to turn your camera in landscape mode so that we can see more of your lovely faces? Is it possible to turn it?
Okay.
Yeah, it would,
Is it auto
it would make a
rated
portrait
on?
of their landscape. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna
Okay,
try
no
that,
problem.
and we hope that it works
Okay.
itself out.
I don't think it would work. I think it's the orientation of the device. So even though if you turn it
Okay.
landscape, it wouldn't. Yeah.
All right, we'll just huddle, shall we?
Yes.
No problem. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So romantic.
So you guys would have mentioned some of the reasons there, and one of them, I think you said something about the value, or rather, I want to ask you in terms of what may motivate. I think one of the comments we had from Romario also asked what motivates us to send certain pictures and so on. And I want to ask, do you think that there is this notion that doing this kind of thing in your online relationship adds value to you or the relationship? Do you think that that's a thought?
Coercion. I think that's what jumps out to me. And we're saying relationships, but a lot of the times, if you're now meeting somebody for the first time on social media, the relationship develops, but is it really a relationship? If you see what I'm saying, is it really two people that are actually in love? Some person on the other end could very well be, and we found instances of this. One person could be actually put themselves out there to fall in love, but then the other person is there grooming that person, coercion, and things of that nature. So the whole question of why you would send those pictures is twofold for me. One, yes, if you are in a bona fide relationship and you love this individual, then you think that it's a natural progression that I need to send these pictures, to keep it entertaining, to keep it spicy. We're not there with one another, so we could as well send these things and send images, and people have graduated not just the image, but also to videos, of persons doing things. And then the other thought I had, the whole question of coercion, being forced, being bullied into sending these images because you've actually put yourself out there into this relationship, and this person is pretty much leading you into a place you really don't necessarily want to go. But then you find that you're too far in to the relationship, too far in, you can't back out, and then there's a whole question of threat. I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself, but yeah.
And
Twofold.
sometimes you believe that the relationship is genuine, and to please the other person,
You do it.
you may send an image of yourself. They may ask for it, but you may not necessarily realize that the person is not really genuine in the relationship as you, Arlene Maria, was saying, but they're just using you.
Right, there's a motive.
And these are things that we need to be careful of. We need to be aware of these things, and we need to be able to read the signs.
Right.
The other thing is that
Red
you need to have a value system. You need to understand that when you put the image out there, it is out there forever.
Right.
And you must tell yourself that if someone really loves me and cares about me, then they would not ask me to send these images over the internet, over social media, because and when you need to understand, when you put them out there, control is taken away from you. You have no control over them where they end up, and you could very well be shooting yourself in the foot as it relates then to your future
Arnold would have mentioned that at the beginning.
opportunities and these things. So you really need to be very careful of putting these images out there.
Very true. Yeah, I just want to highlight Philip's comment. Do we still value in-person connections, or have we gotten so accustomed to social media interaction that we no longer see the need to connect in person? And that can be apply to, let's say, this whole situation, because we're quarantining right now. People are
Yep.
talking to significant others, and things may be progressing. And you know that someone says, well, I know that these things can't stay, that they may be online for some time, but if I know that he loves me, or I know that she loves me, and I'm gonna ask them to delete this picture, or I'm just gonna do a video call and show like a slight little something, what would you say to that person?
Okay, again, you need to be careful. Now, let me make a statement.
Love, yeah.
Let me make a statement. Sin, sin promises to serve and please, but all it does is enslave and dominate. No.
Wow.
So therefore, what happens is that you believe that you are serving and pleasing. In other words, you're trying to find pleasure in this thing. It feels good. So you want to do it to please the other person, to give yourself a feel good moment.
Yeah.
But then that only enslaves and dominates you. And these are the things that we do not realize. The other thing is that we need to understand that oftentimes the whole question of what do I want to say? I want to say here that fantasy. It
Yeah.
feels like a fantasy then. And
Right.
fantasy, reality cannot compete with fantasy. When you come out of your fantasy land, back into the reality, the two can't compete. Fantasy all out there because you're dealing with all kinds of chemical changes in the brain and these kind of things that when you come back down and it's calm now, just like when you go on drugs or something like it. And I'm sure you know that when you get involved in sexting and these kind of things, it is just as bad as like if you're getting involved with in the whole porn industry because that is what it is. It promises to serve and please, but enslaves and dominates you at the end. And therefore, you need to be able to manage these things. The other thing is that because these things are not spoken about or taught about a lot, because individuals don't teach them, then you're not aware really that you're really playing with fire that can burn out of control. Now, in not necessarily in Barbados, but in America some time ago, and there are one or two more cases now that are coming up because of the same sexting thing. A number of individuals have actually committed
That's
suicide
right.
when
Yeah.
all of the images went loose.
Yeah.
Went loose, and
Several.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was
Several.
plastered all over the school.
Yeah.
Good,
And pictures taken and stills were made and
and
literally
everything
plastered all over the
all over the
school.
school. They moved from one school to the
To the
next,
next, yeah,
and
and it's
then they
followed
were
them.
still plastered in that
Yeah.
particular school as well
Yeah.
until the individual
Mm.
eventually killed themselves.
Right. It's like Arnold said at the beginning, those images are out there forever. We might think that we've deleted them, but these cyber people are very well aware that they're very competent to go and rehash these things. So it's a very, very dangerous thing to begin to do these things.
And this is some person that this young lady was quote unquote in a relationship with.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys for that feedback. A lot of the viewers, are already quoting what you guys said. Sin promises to serve and please, but is only here to enslave and dominate.
Yeah.
That is very deep and is a very true statement. So we just want you guys to remember that, something we should really take into consideration. But guys, we actually have some slides and we're going to go into them now. We're going to show you to ask the question, just to know why young people are getting involved in sexting. So we're going to open the slides now.
So the question that Chris just asked kind of sets the platform for this. Is that the norm now? Is that just the automatic thing? And yeah, if we could just bring back that first slide, we will get into it. Increasing use of technology paired with normal teen risk-taking behavior and interest in sexual experimentation. Now, I feel like this is a true thing. Like this is common. We talked about it just now, especially Sharon would have said, it's quarantine, and a lot of people we've been on our phones a whole lot more, and specifically with younger teens, they're still in that stage of development where they want to take risks. Just biologically, you feel that drive to take a risk, and with our culture, it heavily fuels that sexual curiosity. So that's definitely a factor. And you guys in the comments, let us know if you agree with these, or if you see them, if maybe you would have experienced it, or if you've observed it, and so on. The next one says it's easier to let your guard down on the phone or internet than it might be in person. What do we think about that? Sharon?
Wow. I definitely agree with that. To an extent though. I'm
Okay.
trying to rationalize it in my head because I and viewers let me know, just let me know. Um yes, it may be easier to let your guard down, but then the thing is, because people can screenshot, because people can save, because people can send, I feel like some people who understand that I want that privacy, maybe like, okay, well, maybe I could show you this in person and then hide, and then you're not gonna see anything. So there is that aspect, but most of the times, yes, it is easier to let your guard down. But I am interested in hearing what you guys think, as well as not just the host, but those of you who are watching. What do you guys think?
Yep, please let us know. And I definitely agree with Sharon. I guess it really depends on your maturity as well, because like you would more stop and think, yo, if I do this, this can get around. So you have that opportunity there, to stop and think, to say, I really shouldn't do this, and know that this is wrong and it's something that I shouldn't be doing because of the risk involved and all that. But yes, it can be very easy to let your guard down on the internet. What do you guys think, Ambrose and Maria?
I'm wondering if we're actually thinking, if we're in the throes of love and romance, are we really thinking about the repercussions? And I tend to believe that being behind the screen of the computer, your tablet, your phone, tends to embolden people. You're not. I'm here. I'm asking these questions and asking you to send this, and I just believe it's just the two of us. At that time, I'm not thinking about other people. I'm not thinking that you're going to take my images, excuse me, and send them, to wherever. I'm just thinking that it's just me and you, and there's a thing about this secrecy and this privacy be just between me and you that I believe that you get emboldened. To be honest, people that wouldn't necessarily do these things publicly, sure, obviously, you think twice you do it in public. These people are thinking it's just you and I, and all the romance and all of this, yearning and longing and this youthfulness. Why not just send the image?
And the other thing is that we say let your guard down, but there's less inhibition.
Yeah,
And
when you're behind the screen.
And it has become a norm. Individuals see it as the normal thing to do. So therefore, there's nothing wrong about it. So it becomes the norm, unless someone says to you, hey, that really ain't safe though, and tell them why, then there's less inhibition.
Right. It's not that like I think we say it's not that you don't know, but kind of I don't think that rational thought actually enters your mind when you're discussing showing one another your body parts. I just don't think that people think rationally at that time, to be honest. You don't think that your images are going to end up plastered around the school. You don't think that your parents or whoever else, you don't think that you're going to end up on a porn site, but it has happened. So
Right.
I don't think, to be honest.
Yeah. So Crystal is saying, okay, Isabel says, yes, it is. Yes, it is, because depending on who you speak to, the person may not know you in real life, which is another factor that I think adds more danger to it if you don't know the person that you're sharing these things with or sending certain messages to. Crystal says, well, it's easier to let your guard down, it's way more risky. Exactly. Yeah, I think so too. Jalisa says, the risk is seeing how far I can go and have a thrill, but the sweetness of sin only leaves a bitter taste afterwards. And we do have a Bajan proverb about a goat that suggests that, you know what, sweet in the goat mouth, etc., etc. Joshua says, I definitely agree with what Sharon said about persons who know about social media feeling more safe online. And there's the element of hiding, I think somebody had said before, where that is concerned. The messenger. I think for some, it's easier to let your guard down because some people would rather not do something in person, but they're able to do so via sending images or texting. Yeah. Yeah,
Important
and
too.
Isabel agrees. Emily says, for sure, as a teen, you're feeling like you're more responsible and probably have more freedom. For many Christians, this can be a time to let loose and explore the unknown. Yeah, I've literally had some of my friends when I was younger say that they want to basically explore all there is to explore, but that's not always safe.
Right.
It's not. And guys, let us just remember, it has a lot to do with the fact that young, adolescents are impulsive by nature, as their prefrontal cortex, which plays a significant role in impulse control and is not fully developed. So that also contributes to that impulsive behavior. I wanna try this, I wanna try that. I don't really think about the consequences of these actions.
And then the other thing too that is everybody's doing it. Your peers are doing it. The stars are doing it. Everybody's doing it. So a lot of the times our young people are driven by quote unquote peer pressure. And what's the norm? What's happening? What's trending? So hey, everybody's doing it. Why? Like you just said, Judah, people, your friends want to explore. They want to do this. And basically that comes from because everybody else is doing it. And because it's trending, it's trendy to do this. It's the norm. It's cool. So let's do it too. So
And the flip side of that though is that we need to temper those impulses with the reality or the consequences of those actions. And often enough, if we bring enough of these to the fore, it may help to change your direction or help you to avoid making the same mistake as somebody else or going in a different direction.
right.
Once we bring enough knowledge and empower these individuals about the dangers or consequences of these things.
Right. Which is what you guys are doing.
Yes.
Right. And I just want to highlight this comment here from Joshua before we move on. Joshua is saying, then there are people who fear the repercussions of in-person sexual interactions, and then they may prefer online instead. But the crazy thing about that is that why are you more comfortable with sending an image or a video online when the risks are involved where your video can get out than being in person and it's just you and that person. I'm not
Right.
saying go ahead and do these things, but there is less risk there. So yeah, like that's crazy to me. Like people are more comfortable sending these things online because they think there's more protection, and I cannot get that understood. But yeah,
I think I want to respond to that as well. It depends on the risk. I think what that person is saying really is that in person you can actually become involved in sexual intercourse or fornication or adultery, which could result in pregnancy. It can result in STD, something like that. Whereas online, the risk of an STD is not there. The risk of pregnancy is not there. So, unfortunately, this is how a lot of our young people are thinking, and we've seen that thinking within our school system.
And before I comment on that directly, it was mentioned, at least it's being mentioned throughout the program about the online presence.
Right.
And this is where now we need to give the knowledge and information about the dangers of these things. And let me put that another way. But what we just commented on. Now, it is true that even the research shows that there has been, since the advent of the internet and more and more people and more youngsters using it, one of the good things they say about it is that there's less physical intimacy among youth. There's less actual physical sexual intercourse. No, the thing that I want to bring to the fore here is that when we say there's less risk, we mean there's less physical risk,
Right.
but there is more mental.
Yeah.
There is
Psychological.
more mental and psychological
That's right.
risk involved. The bouts of depression, the bouts of mother and daughter fights, the bouts of
Suicidal
father and
thoughts.
son fights, and the suicidal thoughts and tendencies, the secrecy, and you guys mention it to some extent. You're on your devices, your parents necessarily do not know, your parents cannot look at it. You have a million passwords to get in, you know, and sometimes one of the things that we've found, especially in schools, and I smile because quite innocently something was saying to this young girl's phone. Teacher passed by at the same time, took the phone, and saw a guy's penis on the phone. Yes. So and
that was
this,
huge. Yeah.
This is in school,
and it was active. The penis was actually in action.
You know what I mean? So I know one thing. So and then she got in trouble. You see, and these things now then, because we can tell you stories that will grow your hair or grow somewhere where it's not supposed to. But these things are real and they're happening right here in our country. So this is why I say it is less physical risk, but it is more psychological risk and spiritual risk and these things involved.
Can I just add a bit to that? Is that whole scenario kind of blew up, it mushroomed, and there was about a group of about 10, 15 girls, and it was actually how the school portrayed it was that they were, like engaging in online porn, but we had to go through a whole 4 weeks or so with the girls and then with their parents
with
and
families
stuff. So it's like
listen, the dangers of, although you cannot get pregnant, you may not be able to contract an STD or STI and these things, the dangers, it can disrupt families. If you had seen these parents in shock, they hear and listen, like I said, it was just an image on the phone, but it caused so much disruption in the school and in these families. It is a very dangerous and quote unquote risky thing to be doing. The dangers are real.
Wow. Yeah. I just want to say we have a lot of people in the comments. Thank you so much for the engagement. If you're interested in calling in, we would have shared the link, but just letting you know that you do not have to, your face does not need to be seen, just your voice. I'm seeing some things that have me like, ooh, whoa, we're getting deep, really love the involvement. So if you really want to call in, you can just use the link just down below, bit.ly/LockedxLoaded-register. Now I'm going to continue on the slides that we would have had about the reasons why young people engage in this. So one would be that young people's understanding of the consequences is low, or they may think they're the exception and nothing bad will happen to them, which is definitely something. And the second one, what is seen as acceptable today may have changed from previous generations. And if I could just say something, sorry, but in terms of the whole body confidence and loving your body, we would have spoken about this in our first episode where we spoke about the fact that people post selfies or people post this thing and they're like, I love my body, and sometimes it's like it could be a selfie with a shirt on or a selfie with a shirt off, and it's like, I love my body, I'm unashamed, I'm showing this. So then that can translate not just into self-confidence for other people, but being confident with whoever you're talking to online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. Go ahead.
and there's nothing wrong with being aware and loving yourself. But just like
Right.
in your neighborhood and community, where your parents may say to you, keep from this place, keep from that place, be careful in that area. But when interacting online, we need to be aware of the dangers as well, because and like I was saying earlier in another chat this evening, when you do not just jump into the middle of the fire, it goes by a step or into the middle of a
Degrees,
danger.
different degrees,
You
yeah.
by the time that you are coerced or fooled into or tricked into the thing, you feel like you are making this decision or this choice on your own, but you are being led away. So before you make the first step in that direction, then you need really to be aware of the dangers and informed of getting involved in these things first. It may give you a good feeling, but the consequences may be dire. Now, listen, I'm not saying at all for a young person who really love excitement and things of this nature that it will be easy, but you need to be aware of these things, and then you need to be in a position to make a conscious decision to do the other thing, to do the right thing, as opposed to the thing that feels good at the time.
Right. Right. Right.
That's true. Amanda is saying here, these young people are so smart, texting in code, and the poor teachers are confused. So I just want to speak about that a little bit. Like we were talking about the progression, and you say, okay, what's the next step? And then, the girl sends a peach or the guy sends an eggplant, and then it's just from there,
More
it
fruits.
just
More fruits,
transcends.
Glenn.
Yes, fruit. Well, fruits. Yeah. I mean, there's so much. I don't. I there's so many things out there that they use. They might not be explicit and articulating what exactly they mean, but these things are used for sure. And they start sending these pictures and these eggplants and these gifs and these different things. And these are some of the things that they use. And sometimes parents aren't even able to identify them, and
Mm,
and teachers as well.
right. It seems like we have a caller calling into the studio, and we're gonna hear from Romario as he comes in to share his views, ask any questions, and so on. Good night, Romario.
Hello, good night. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we
sir.
Yeah.
can.
Yes, I want to thank Equination and Pure Sex Ministries as well. Ambrose and Maria Carter said good night to them as well. I was listening and I really am learning a lot because though I normally use the internet, I would not have heard a lot about this topic until tonight. And I really want to kind of congratulate Ambrose and his wife because they seem to be the very few people who talk about these kinds of things. But what I will say about the whole issue of sexting is that Ambrose said it earlier, but I reiterate that the internet can be used for pornography. There are certain sites people can go on, like there's something called RedTube, and you can even go on YouTube and once you type in a certain thing, you can actually access sexual content on YouTube. But what they do on YouTube is that they ask you if you are 18 years or older, whatever they ask your age, but you can go once you're of a certain age, you can access certain content on YouTube as well. But what I'm going to say is that I believe sexting is more about the individual than about the internet itself, because the internet of itself is not evil, but whoever is using it, depending on their motive, they can either use it for good or for evil, right? So I'm thinking the internet is just a front, right? I believe that the virtual is a reflection of the person. What you are seeing on the internet is what's coming out of the person's heart. And most times you have people that they have a lack of accountability. They're immature, doing these things, because if I'm in a relationship with someone, And let's say, for example, amongst ourselves, we are not near to one another. We may send, we may be on WhatsApp. We may say, well, send to the person, well, I miss you, or something like that. Something that couples would say to one another to express their level of love and intimacy for one another. But what if you're dealing with somebody that you share those things with, and they go and they post them on the internet? So I believe we're more dealing with the person. There are a lot of people that they are virgins physically, but they are not virgins mentally, right? They're
Right.
not virgins
Mhm.
inside. They're physically, yes, but not mentally, right? So what I will say is that I believe that the internet, some people use the internet to just, as a place not to, to commit. As some people said it already, they don't want to commit. They don't want to. They're afraid of intimacy. They don't want to get close, and they do that, and they focus more on that than on taking care of their own garden. If you're in a relationship, this is like a garden, a home garden. I think I had done some research, but that not everybody has access to that. Everybody doesn't have
Okay.
access to that. Everybody has access to a pasture. Everybody has access to a beach. But when we're talking about a home garden, not everybody has access to that. So I think relationships need to be treated like a garden. Not everybody has access to this. We know what is best to cause it to grow. We will nurture it. We will take care of it. But not everybody has access to this. So that's my thoughts on the topic.
Thank you so much, Ramara. Thank you so much for calling in. Have a good night.
Yes, thank you as well. And
Bye. Wow. Yeah, that's a very strong comment, and I agree, especially with one thing he did say when he said that we may be virgins physically, but the fact that we engage in this kind of sexual act, because it is still sexual activity, even if we are not performing certain actions, that we've still compromised our purity or our innocence. And I think sometimes that might be taken for granted. But on that note, there's this question then. So we talk about virginity and so on. And if it is that we are still virgins, but we're no longer pure or void of certain things, then a choice has to be made about, the standards that you want to set for yourself. I think everybody has to make that kind of choice. So what standard are we going to set? What is going to be our standard?
I want to, and that's a good thing, and I'll deal with that shortly. But there's something that he said that it depends upon you, the things that you do on the internet. No, and I do agree to some extent that it depends on your value. But however, when we're dealing with young people, we need to remember that individuals are still trying to find their way. And the individuals that are placing the pornography there, they are so clever that they hook you. You could be on there, and they're searching for a sermon or doing homework, and then this pop-up comes, and out of curiosity, you click on it, and then you are pulled into something, and when you catch yourself, is hour gone, and you're looking at these things. So it's not always something that somebody go on there to do something nefarious or something like it. So you need to be mindful of that as well. What was the other thing?
And I just want to go. Yeah, I just want to go back to the standard here quickly that Judah was talking about. I just want to read some to you guys quickly. This is from Matthew 30:28. It says, "But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." And we were just spoken briefly on this just now, and although you might not have committed that act physically, that from the time you look upon someone lustfully and you having these thoughts and all these emotions come running and pulsing through, you've already, that purity is no longer there. So it's really to set that standard to know that sexting is not only wrong for legal reasons, but also I do believe that it is something that should be left for couples who are, and I can get heavy, guys. Don't come at me.
Get
Married.
it.
because you understand. Because I mean, you could, you guys, we could also look at it in the context of fornication. You know, it can really hit off. You don't want to get into these things. Remember, just because you're not doing the act physically, don't mean that
Right.
you have not crossed that line, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
just want you guys to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I support that too. That is my standard too. So I mean, if my husband and I decide to, that's a bit deep. But anyway, the standard will be marriage. That's the bottom line of it. You know, the standard will be marriage. And like Paulana said, sometimes as Christians we feel like if we're not performing the specific action, that means okay, we can explore and we can do whatever, you know. But that's really not it. The comments are getting heated there. I see Paulana making some suggestions, indicating that that too is her standard in her very clever way of saying that. So those,
I saw a lot
yeah,
of people in the comments talking about pop-ups. Like definitely a lot of like pop-ups come up when you're watching. I saw them mention anime. A lot of pop-ups do come up. And the thing is, a lot of primary school children do watch anime. They do, you know, play certain games where there may be pop-ups. And it's quite possible that we're finding this same thing in primary schools. So my question to both of you, Ambrose and Maria, do you have anything of any like info on like if it happens in primary schools and what happens, situations, episodes of it happening in the primary schools?
Sadly, yes.
Oh gosh, yes, more than the second.
Sadly, yes.
oh
I
my
see
gosh, wow.
the innocence of a lot of our primary children way of the pornography that they've watched on their devices. Situations where a child told us that he started watching when he was 5 years old, and again that he was, you know, legitimately on his tablet, looking for games and stuff. His curiosity was piqued, and he started watching it, and that was 5 years old. But to when we met him, and what he said to us, kind of like the teachers were in literal shock when he said, 11 years old, getting ready to go into secondary school, that he feel at night when he goes to sleep at night, he feels as if something's happening
Said he wakes up tired
every
every
morning.
morning.
Yeah. So when the teachers heard that, it was like total shock. So that comment alone generated PTA meetings and us coming to speak to the parents on the whole dangers of, you know, like not policing their children in what they do. And then the other thing is to the number of there are a lot of our primary school children who can fall off, and Romario mentioned about who can fall off one side. I mean, at will. I was literally blown away one time. We went to, these were class 3 and 4 children at primary school, and these children knew verbatim the porn sites. I mean, we're just rattling them off like the ABCs.
We're not speaking about the pop-up.
We're talking about the
porn
actual sites.
And then
and as well, Sharon, that we were actually at a church. It was us and a number of volunteers, and we were dealing with the their different age groups. So we had the 3 to 4s away from the heavy stuff, and 2 of our volunteers was these 3 to 4-year-olds confess that they take when they take their mum's devices, mobile phones, go under the bed and watch pornography. And these 3 to 5-year-olds, and this was so it. Our children, their innocence is pretty much, I would say, tainted but lost.
Yeah, but we mentioned primary schools, but you would realize that Maria mentioned there.
Yeah.
So there was it's happening also in preschool. Mm-hmm. At one stage, it was discovered in this incident from one primary school where a little girl's vagina, and a little girl, the same girl, was playing with the boys. And the principal PTA meeting to explain to the parents now, because in the school, and therefore we understand, and parents to understand as well, that and other individuals to understand happening. And these are things that we are telling you not this year, not last year. These things have been around in our school
for a while.
For a while.
And
so,
it's just progressively getting worse.
And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. So these things, yes, they are there. And the children are already acting out. And they're exposed. So we need to help them. They need help.
Wow. And we just want to apologize to our viewers for a moment. We were losing you a little bit, but we did grasp the general seriousness of the problem, especially as it relates to the age going, I don't know, it's just starting earlier and earlier, it seems. And I think this is a really important part that we need to say or hear from you a little bit about why this is dangerous, why it is problematic, these psychological and emotional effects, especially for our younger children, but generally for teens and even young adults as well.
When I mentioned when we talk to this class course as they get ready to go into secondary school, I'm trusting that everybody heard when we said that when this young boy had confessed that he started watching porn from 5 years old, currently at 11. When we met him, he was 11 years old, and he, already started to experience situations where he went to sleep at night and he felt as if somebody was having sex with him. And what we have noticed, even pre-COVID, when we were in the school system, is that when we meet with first formers now, these children are more sexually aware. We've had to kind of, it's like trying to pull back the horse after it's got out of the stable. And young people are viewing their peers as sex objects, not just as a friend, a male-female relationship. They're seeing them as sex objects because of this whole internet porn, because of what they're watching on TV. And Sharon would have mentioned the sites, the Animacon. Did you say this is the with the not cartoons, but I know what that is. But it's like
anime.
Right. What these people do, they target these things. They know that the youth are looking at a lot of cars, a lot of games, and these things are they strategically put their fodder in those areas so that they can grab the attention of our young people and hook them for life. And we have people that you're trying to walk back from porn addictions. So it's
serious.
It's serious
and
out
not
there, to be
only
honest.
that, as we mentioned porn, I wonder what image do you get? What kind of porn are you thinking of? School students have already graduated to gay porn.
Yes.
And one guidance counselor remarked to us that she heard one boy interacting with another. He was calling the boy. She wondered where he got these terminologies from. He was calling him terms of endearment like you would a girl.
Right.
And when she investigated, he was watching, and some of them have already graduated to bestiality. Watching these things, and they're already acting them in first and second form in our primary schools.
Right.
Children that have just left primary school, of our primary schools as well, they are acting out some of these. So it is a very serious thing. And you mentioned the dangers. Maria mentioned it. You see the opposite sex as purely sex objects to fulfill your sexual desires and pleasures.
And sorry not to delay it, but not to prolong it, but Ambrose, I'm remembering when we would have done an entire tour of the primary schools, and if you hear some of the debased things that were coming out of the mouths of some of the boys that Ambrose would have glossed over when he mentioned about some of the children, these are children, pre-secondary school. If you hear, he glossed over the fact that they've graduated to Christianity, and a lot of children were actually experimenting with
sex with animals.
Sex with animals, and these are again things that they're seeing on the internet.
Yes, they came from the internet, and not only that, we were doing a church, and one boy remarked to us that he was seeing a guy with two women and stuff, and he wanted to go and have two women too, and this is from just seeing the things on the internet.
So, so obviously these are dangers.
And when we say with, I mean having sex with these two women at one time, and he wanted to do that too.
He wanted to try it out, yeah.
He wanted to try it out. So these are things that they want to be experimented with on their quote unquote friends in school or church.
Wow.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for that. Right now, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back, guys.
Standing up for the truth. Hear it loud, hear it strong. And we not turn it down. Hear the voice of the youth. Standing up.
Okay. So we would have just now finished off speaking about, wow, how far this situation reaches, because clearly it's not only online, even though that is our focus tonight. And in terms of, if we bring it back a little bit to the online relationships now, we've established that it's problematic, not only from a security standpoint, but from a psychological standpoint. In terms of the fact that there are risks. For example, if you and this person somehow fall out, if your relationship doesn't go all the way or isn't as, genuine as you would have thought it would have been, there's also risks of persons, just wanting you to send these things without actually caring about you and all those things. And we did mention, a standard that we've personally adopted. So we're going to have to get ready to wrap up now. It's kind of difficult because it's such a heavy topic, we know, but I'm sure we'll be back at it. Continue with more relevant discussion. So in terms of what we want to leave you guys with, one thing that I want to say is remember that standard. And there's this thing that says a standard isn't relevant unless the problem is real. But we've just established, and we hope that you guys see it too, that this problem is a real problem. It's not just a matter of, I can do this because it's my body, or because I love them or they love me. It's about more than that. And so we encourage you guys, whether or not you've done this before, because we're not necessarily going to focus on that part. But even if you have, you can still establish a standard for yourself in terms of no longer sharing those types of things, or no longer, even if you are not creating the images or the videos, no longer literally sharing, as in pressing that share button with your friends or whoever, or even if it's, trending and it's interesting and you want to talk about it, just being careful with that too. But generally, for your own self, this is another way to safeguard your mental state, to safeguard your emotions, and to safeguard you generally. Glenn, Sharon, what do you guys want to say?
Yeah, and I just want to leave something with you guys here as we look to wrap up. Well, that knowledge is knowing that sexting is risky, but wisdom is knowing that you should not take these risks to satisfy temporary pleasures and, to end up forsaking your purity and mental and spiritual well-being. It's just not worth it.
Yeah,
Sharon?
definitely. And I know we didn't get to show you guys the tip, But the challenge was to read the Computer Misuse Act, and the tip that was prepared that is going to be posted on Instagram, so go check that out, speaks about the Misuse Act as well, and also highlights some sections in it that are specific to online relationships and specific to sexting. There are legal ramifications. Ghazi also mentioned it in his small little presentation, so remember that. And actually, we do have the tip, so we're gonna show that shortly, so stay tuned for that. But you can also find it on our Instagram page after, and you can share it with your friends because it's very informative.
Right. So on this note, we do want to say thank you so much, Ambrose and Maria Carter. Thank you on behalf of everyone that's watching. We were definitely educated. We're a little shaken up, but that's okay. You know, we need to be aware of these things. So thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you very much for having us.
No problem.
No
Have a wonderful
problem.
day.
And likewise.
Bye. Okay, so as Sharon said, we do have the tip of the week, and we're so eager, especially after everything that we just experienced, to share this tip with you. So here is this week's tip of the week. This is the tip of the week. Online dating has become somewhat of a norm now, with dating apps such as Match, Bumble, Tinder, and Christian Mingle. People have been meeting other people and forming romantic relationships. And so far, it seems to have been going well in many North American states. However, in Barbados, we do things a little bit differently. So picture this. We would have tested the waters of the relationship, and things seem to be going well as we're talking to this person. But sometimes conflict can arise. Problems could be something as small as miscommunication, or it can even be a form of virtual infidelity, or what we call here a horn. A bigger issue then is that messages we sent would still be online, or sometimes even media we're not comfortable with the person keeping or possibly sharing. Well, here is some key information from the Barbados Computer Misuse Act, specifically dealing with handling online data, which can be applied in terms of relationship fallout. Did you know that if a person communicates indecently, in a threatening or menacing way, that is illegal? Yep, you can also be fined for that offense, put into prison, or both. Also very important, a person who knowingly publishes child pornography or produces child pornography is also guilty of a grave offense. This is wrong. For clarification, child pornography includes material where a person who even merely looks like a minor is engaged in sexual activity, sexually explicit conduct, and so on. And to publish is to distribute, circulate, or make this media available to persons in any way, or even simply having this media in your possession with the potential to share it. I know, this may be very shocking information, and some of us may never even have known this. However, this information can also be very empowering as it encourages us to be cautious, not only of what we post or share, but also encouraging us to be bold,
knowing that if anything like this happens against us, legal action can be taken on our behalf. So, on that note, inform your friends. Let people know about these important regulations, even as you also employ social sharing safety practices. And remember, be good digital citizens.
You are watching Locked and Loaded on Echo Nation.
It's a very important tip.
Yep. Thank you for that tip, Judah. It's very important. We talk a lot about the legal ramifications. We just want to remind you guys of that. There's so many, is a legal issue as well, and you have to pay attention to that aspect of things, especially, just having those images or that content on a device can and you can end up being in prison for that, or someone can end up being in prison for that. So just make sure you don't have anyone forwarding you anything like that. Like delete it right away. Go into you deep files and delete it. Wipe your phone if you have to, and buy a new phone. But yeah, it's a very serious thing.
Yes, it
Guys,
is.
we're going to go into the what's trending segment. No, but what's trending? Like I can tell you guys about this here personally. On Thursday, um, we have a discussion. I'm going to be having a discussion with Trey Cumberbatch. It's going to be titled Relationships and Mental Health. No, this is happening Thursday night, this Thursday, the 11th at 7:30 p.m., guys. I'm going to show you a quick promo video, so stay tuned for that. Right, guys. So that is a video from Levy Chat. You can follow us on Instagram, and you could subscribe to YouTube channel so you could know when more content is coming out.
Yes, and Glenn is actually being a bit modest right now because he's not telling you everything that there is, and that is actually a program that is solely hosted by Glenn, as he does have persons coming in like one Trey Cumberbatch we've seen in the comments. So definitely check out Levy Chat and the previous episodes of the show as well. So more things are trending, and if you guys did accept our invitation last Tuesday, you would have been at Chill Vibes on Saturday that just went, and you would have known that it was awesome. It was a Chill Vibes like never before, and I am not exaggerating because I'm extra. I'm telling you the truth, it really was. So even if you haven't watched it, if you weren't tuned in that Saturday, you can go back and watch the video. We had Mark Isaacs in studio. We had DJ S Champion and DJ Christel, two DJs for the price of one, and also the price was free. So let me get that clear. But it was awesome. It really was. It was a Barbados Trinidad link up. And this week is promising to be even better. Our featured artist for that night is our very own, most beloved Bajan artist, John Yard, who will be coming through on Saturday, June the 13th, 7 p.m. And it's going to be awesome again. As usual, we have the music videos, the open mic segment. Shoutouts to Antonio, who's also in the comments, who was on the open mic last week. More live performances, and DJ Carlos will be our featured DJ of the night as well. So do not, I repeat, do not miss Chilled Vibes. And we're definitely looking forward to when it comes back in person, when we're back seeing each other again, being able to eat the fish cakes from the bar and having a wonderful time, as we know we're accustomed to. So sadly, we've come to the end of another Locked and Loaded episode.
Cheers.
Glenn is crying, guys. It's serious if Glenn is crying behind his glasses. Oh my gosh, it's real. It's real out here. We want to thank you so much for joining in again. It's always a pleasure. And of course, the show cannot be what it is without you lovely people. So thank you so much for coming through. And I'm going to give Sharon and Glenn the opportunity to, give their final words as well.
Yes, guys, thank you very much for your feedback as usual. I really enjoyed the discussion. I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Remember, you could always go and watch this video once it's posted tonight and all our previous videos. And I just can't wait for the next locked and loaded session to have another wonderful discussion with you guys. Sharon.
Yeah, it was so great having you. Thank you so much for your engagement. I mean, the comments were just lit up. Like, honestly, thank you so much for that. Next week, we will be calling in again, so have that available to you. So if you're interested in it, go ahead and do it. Be sure to like us, subscribe, follow, all that. And stay tuned for next week's episode, as Glenn would have said, where we will be talking about ghosting and outing people and all of that y'all should not be doing. So yeah. So yes, we're going to be talking about that. Also, in terms of our Was Divide, we would have extended an invitation to any of you to contact us on Echo Nation if you're interested in submitting a video, hearing the question that we have to ask. So once again, to those of you who may be interested, just send us a DM on Instagram, Echo Nation, and we will send you the question and you'll be featured on the next show.
Yep.
Yeah. We love you so much. We're going to miss you in this week. Don't worry. The love is real. And
it is genuine.
So have a wonderful night. Oh, Glenn put up a heart. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Everybody, next
Good
week.
night.
Don't forget your vibes. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Standing up for the truth. Hear it loud, hear it strong. And we not turn it down. Hear the voice of the youth. Standing up for the truth.